Good morning, everyone. I want to welcome you all to the Tuesday, August the 18th, 2026 meeting of the Denton County Commissioners Court. We're glad to have y'all with us today. Lots of special groups with us, and we appreciate y'all being here in person. And I know we have many people watching online. At this time, I'd like to welcome forward for our invocation Mr. Paul Bastich. He's our Denton County Veteran Service Officer, and our pledges will be led by Chuck Feitz, our Assistant Transportation Director. If you'll please stand, I want to remind everybody to please turn off your cell phones. Good morning.
Good morning, Judge. Good morning, Commissioners. Good morning, audience. Please pray with me. As we begin the third week of August, a month of very hot days in Texas, may be aware of our environment and the well-being of our neighbors and our neighbor's neighbor. Keep us all safe and well during this season. As we enter the tradition of the North Texas Fair and Rodeo this Friday, be with those attending. Keep them safe. Let's not forget those young men and women performing, whether it's the bull riders, the bronc riders, or the very young mutton busting. Watch over them all. Heavenly and gracious Father, we give you thanks and praise for your blessings and our answered prayers. May we be made aware and honor those that have passed or suffered during drug overdose. Be with those families impacted. Educate us to see how to identify and prevent such happenings. I ask that you be with us. Continue to keep us safe. Watch over us. Bless all the first responders for the protection and the safety that they provide. Thank you to this court for providing necessary equipment to save lives and keep us safe. Use us in ways needed to do your will. Be with those serving in the military as they provide protection to our country. Be with those on long deployments, whether it's on ships or on land. Provide them with the necessities for well-being and nourishment. Also protect the families as the soldier, the sailor, the Marine, the airman, or the guardsman are out on the call of duty. As the weather continues to warm, keep us safe and healthy. Let us be reminded that you are always in control. Heavenly Father, I pray that you move mightily in the lives of your children. I pray that you shower down blessings, favor, healing, and prosperity. May you give strength to the weary, comfort to the grieving, restoration to the broken hearts and relationship. Be with us in this courtroom today, with our leaders and citizens of this great county, state, and nation. May we walk in your way, do what is right for our fellow brothers and sisters. All this we ask in your name, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you, Paul.
Please join me in the pledge to the United States flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And to the great state of Texas. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Well, thank you, Paul, and thank you, Chuck. I appreciate y'all's participation this morning. At this time, I'd like to go to item 1, which is for public input for items not listed on the agenda. And we have one registered speaker, and that is Mr. Nick Pappas. And sir, if you'll come forward, we're glad to have you here this morning. And I would just like to let you know that all of our public comments are 3 minutes in length. And I'll set a little timer here. Okay, thank you, sir. Go right ahead.
Good morning, Judge and Commissioners. My name is Nick Pappas. I'm a Louisville resident. I'm a retired United States Marine, and I'm the Democratic nominee for Denton County Judge this election in November. Before I get to my talking points, I want to thank the court for respecting the rights of everyone who comes to this podium to speak and to speak freely. And I wanted to personally thank Commissioner Mitchell for representing my district. I'm going to read a one sentence from Texas law, Election Code, Section 43.007, subsection A. It says the Secretary of State shall implement a program allowing the Commissioners Court to eliminate precinct polling places and establish countywide polling places for, and then it lists 5 things. Number 1 on that list, quote, any election required to be conducted by the county, end quote. No conditions, no party approval. The party approval language appears exactly once in the whole section in paragraph 4. And paragraph 4 is specifically for primary elections. Judge Eads, you said publicly as recently as October 2025 that it's up to the two political parties to come to an agreement before this court considers action. That is not what the statute says. The Texas Secretary of State's own office told the news in October 2024 that party approval applies, quote, only during the primaries, end quote. So either this court knows that it has been spreading misinformation or this court does not understand the statute. I do not like either one of these answers. The public asking for countywide voting on Election Day aren't confused because they are slow. They're confused because they listen to the Commissioner's Court. They trusted their county government to tell them the truth about their own election law, and trust is the only thing this building runs on. Second thing, your elections administrator told the Denton Record-Chronicle on September 14th, 2022, quote, we just haven't gotten around to completing the report and application yet, end quote. Denton County is not on the Secretary of State's approved list as of today. Denton County has never appeared in a single legislative report under Election Code 43.007, subsection J, going back to 2013. 100 counties are on that list, and Denton County is not one of them. Your own website still says Denton County will have to make an application to the state. Will have to, as in future tense. And as of last October, your administrator said it had not been started. Now, I may be confused, and if I am, please put it on the agenda for next week and set the record straight with the provision of the Texas Election Code that requires political party consent for a November general election. Otherwise, please set the public hearing under subsection B and file the application. If you won't, please say so out loud so these folks understand the Commissioner's Court is responsible for this decision. Because there's nothing a Texan hates worse than being told sorry, there's nothing I can do. Early voting starts October 19th through the 30th. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for being here. All right. Next, let's go to today is a very special day because we are getting to make a presentation to one of our partner cities, the city of Oak Point, on behalf of the Commissioner's Court of a new ambulance. And so, Commissioner Williams, would you like to address this as well?
Sure. Thank you, Judge. I really appreciate it. Oh, I'm sorry. That's what you were looking for. Apologize. I didn't do my job when I first got here. I guess I was talking too much, which is not a problem for me. Nevertheless, no, what an exciting day. This is, something that the court agreed on and has been working on with some of our fortunate cities here in the Denton County. And today is one of those wonderful days we get to give away our first ambulance. And I say giveaway, it's more of a loan partnership, if you will. But we're excited about it. Oak Point is a wonderful city that will absolutely be able to utilize this ambulance and being able to take care of its citizens. So we're very excited about this opportunity. I really appreciate the partnership with the mayor and the city. And obviously, I appreciate my fellow court members here for allowing us to do this for the city of Oak Point.
Absolutely. And Mayor Meek, we have you here and some of your leadership from the city. Would you like to come forward and make any comments before we proceed any further? Good morning, Mayor. Good to see you.
Good morning. I'm Dina Meek, and I'm blessed to be the mayor of Oak Point. This ambulance is much needed and greatly appreciated. It will save lives. So on behalf of all the residents of Oak Point, our staff, and especially our outstanding fire department, thank you, Judge Eads, and our wonderful Oak Point Commissioner Ryan Williams and Commissioner Falconer, Commissioner Mitchell, and Commissioner Edmondson. This will make a big difference for our city, and we much appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. Well, we're glad for the partnership, and we bought 8 ambulances with some of our ARPA funds, and some of those will be used for our future county fire department that we're rolling out and implementing across the unincorporated part of the county, but we also had a partnership with some local cities. And so you're the very first one and these have been delivered today. And so we're excited about making this an official presentation. So do you want to move for approval just for fun? So we get that done?
Absolutely. I move to approve, please.
All right, so Chair will second. Motion by Commissioner Williams, the Chair will second. Any other comments?
Judge, I'd like to just point out this is part of our county-wide fire protection plan that we have been putting into effect. I'm proud of Oak Point for being the very first one to get one of our ambulances. We're going to be partnering all over in the unincorporated areas and some of our smaller communities as well. Congratulations. You all enjoy that ambulance, but don't use it too often.
Okay, that's right.
Very good.
Thank you so
Very
much,
good.
and thank you for all you do to make Denton County the best place to live.
Thank you.
Perfect, good. Well, we are going to, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Congratulations, we're glad to do this. We are going to take a 5-minute recess, and we're going to go down, and everyone's invited to go down, and we're going to officially hand off the keys and take a picture out front with the ambulance, and then we're going to come back up here, but we want to get them back to the station. Okay, so I know we have lots of other important business to do today, but we're going to get them back to the fire station. Does that sound good? So we're going to take a quick break. So thank y'all. We're going to, quick recess. All right. Well, I'm pleased to report the ambulance is spick and span, brand new, looks good, smells good, and it's just like a new car. And the city is very appreciative. And I just think about this morning as we handed off the keys to that, think of all the lives that'll be saved because of that vehicle and the men and women that will be utilizing it. So, special day.
Yes,
It's great to be in the life-saving business, isn't it?
the giving business is
And,
nice.
and the giving business. So next, let's go to item 3A, which is approval of a resolution recognizing Heidi Lewis's retirement and any appropriate action. And we have Heidi with us this morning. Where are you, Heidi? There you are. Okay, you come down front here so we can just look you over. We're excited to have you here, and so many colleagues from the health department are here as well. I know Alex or Matt are going to say a little something, so. And Heidi, we always promise our retirees they get the last word, which has worked great since then. Well, good morning. We're glad to have you here.
Good morning, thank you.
I'd like to read this resolution, and we'll have some comments, and Alex can say a few things, and then again, we'll let you extend some comments if you would like to, okay?
Okay.
So this is a resolution honoring Heidi Lewis for 11 years of service to Denton County. The Denton County Commissioners Court, Denton County, Texas, during a regular session on the 18th day of August, 2026, considered the following resolution. And whereas Heidi Lewis has been a dedicated and valued employee of Denton County, faithfully serving countless families and children through her career with the Women, Infants, and Children WIC program, and will retire in August 2026 after over 11 years of combined service. And whereas Heidi is a friend to many, both co-workers and clients alike, and is widely recognized for her compassion, kindness, and remarkable ability to quickly build meaningful rapport with the families she serves, make a lasting and positive impact on the lives she has reached. And whereas Heidi has been recognized as a team member who goes out of her way to make sure she is checking in on her peers and is known to send a personalized, thoughtful message that makes anyone's day better. And whereas Heidi leaves a legacy of dedication to ensuring clients feel seen, heard, and valued by the WIC team. And whereas as Heidi enters retirement, she plans to spend time with her family and her granddog. And Heidi has a passion for culinary instruction and working with kids, and Heidi plans to apply those passions through substitute teaching and serving in the Denton ISD. And now, therefore, be it resolved, the Denton County Commissioners Court, Denton County, Texas, does hereby extend to Heidi Lewis our sincere and grateful appreciation for her dedicated service to Denton County. And we congratulate Heidi on her retirement, extend our best wishes to her for continued success, happiness, and good health in the years to come. Done in open court this the 18th day of August 2026 upon a motion made by Commissioner Mitchell, second by Commissioner Ebbetson. Well, Heidi, I just want to say congratulations, and the whole team over there at the health department, including the WIC, has such a wonderful culture of customer service and treating our clients with dignity. And it sounds like you're just one of those people that carried and exemplified that culture, not only to your coworkers, but just the whole department. So I just really want to thank you on behalf of the people who couldn't be here today, the people that are out making a living and raising those families that you helped have a nutritional, positive early start. So thank you for helping build better Denton County families, and we appreciate you. So on behalf of all those people, I just want to say thank you so much. All right, members, any other comments that y'all would like to make?
I just want to say congratulations and thank you. Working with our women and our children, that's where it starts. Helping them to know that there's a better life for them and treating them with dignity. You know, I always said, as an elected official, I want people to keep their dignity. And that is so important when we talk to people, when we visit with people, that we're helping, that they're allowed to keep their dignity. And I want to thank you for doing that for these 11 years. And I want you to be blessed and have fun with that granddog.
That's right. And the substitute teaching.
Oh, yes.
That's its own
Wow, that's
level of joy.
I think that's harder. That's
Yeah.
harder.
We might see her back in here. I don't know. She might be down on the back of the HR. I don't know before. Gustavo, let us know if she makes a U-turn and comes right back. So anyone else want to say anything before I hand it?
If you don't
Go
mind,
right
Judge,
ahead.
thank you so much for what you've done for the county and the citizens. You know, a lot of times you're dealing with people in some of the toughest parts of their life, and they're just trying to get through and get to the other side. So thank you so much for having the right attitude and ability to give and help others out, because that it takes a giving heart, bottom line, and it's not always an easy job. So thank you so much for doing it.
And I'd say thank you so much for what you've given to the Denton County residents. Thanks so much.
All right, anyone else?
You will be missed, but have fun and enjoy that grand dog. What
Yeah.
kind of dog is the grand dog?
I'm sorry?
Is it what's it, a poodle or a
It's
dach-
a Blue Merle Mini Aussie.
Oh, my daughter raises those.
Lot of
Those are
energy.
darling dogs. Very smart. Be careful.
Thank you.
All right, Alex, would you like to say something?
Absolutely, I would love to. Judge and
Right to that
Commissioners,
microphone. There we
thank you
go.
guys so much for recognizing Heidi today. I think that whenever I think about Heidi, I think that if all of us are fortunate enough to work with someone that makes you feel as seen and as celebrated as Heidi does, that we will be in a really good place. Heidi is someone that consistently gets positive feedback from our families about her hospitality, her compassion, and her kindness. And like you all have mentioned, it's families that just found out that they're expecting a baby or have a newborn, which can sometimes be a stressful period of life, and Heidi journeys through that with families so compassionately. I'm gonna miss her personally because I've been a recipient of those notes throughout the day. She has such a grateful heart and she shares that with the world, but I know that that's not tied to Heidi's job title. I know that Heidi's gonna do that wherever she goes.
That's right.
So I'm fortunate for the time that I got to work with you, Heidi, and congratulations on this next chapter.
Perfect, great. Oh, very good. Very good. All right. All right, Miss Heidi, you're up. Speaking to that microphone right there, very good.
I just wanted to say thank you so much to all of you. It's been a wonderful journey here, and it's been a great place to work, great place to grow, and every one of y'all have given me a lot of leadership skills that I can take and move forward with. So thank all of y'all.
Oh, well, thank you. All right, well said, well said. You got the last word. And then, all right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimous. Congratulations, Heidi.
All right, now picture time.
All right, 1, 2. I'm grabbing him.
I'm gonna go ahead and get our next. All right, Ms. Rowland, if you'll come forward. Next is item 3B, approval of proclamation recognizing August 31st as North Texas Overdose Awareness Day. And Sharon, would you like to come forward and speak about this important topic? Good morning. Good to see you again. So be sure to speak in that mic. You can move it around if you need to.
Oh, okay. thank you, and thank you for the opportunity to be here today. As some of you know, our family lost our youngest son to an overdose, and for that reason, we came up with the idea of North Texas Overdose Awareness Day, and that was in 2018. And with the support of this Commissioner's Court, the City of Denton, a lot of hard work from local businesses and individuals, that event has grown from just a small group of people to over 500 people in the last few years. So we thank you for your support for that. North Texas Overdose Awareness Day is meant to be an opportunity for our community to unite and to understand how overdose impacts all of us. Just a few years ago, the United States had the highest per capita death rate from overdose in the world. And in the past 2 years, that number has declined. And last year, it declined by over 20%. According to the CDC, a part of the reason for that decline is awareness. So that's what this event is meant to do, is to bring awareness, to help our community to unite and to understand overdose. It's also for the purpose of educating all of us so that we can understand ways that we can help prevent drug use, so that we can all know the signs of an overdose, so that we can know about naloxone, which is an opioid antagonist that will stop or reverse an overdose, so that we will have naloxone and know how to use it so that we can save lives and make our community a safer place for everyone. And the event is also meant to provide resources and support for those individuals and families that are currently struggling with substance use disorder and addiction. We want to help those families, and we want to help reduce the stigma that's associated with this disease so that those who need help will reach out and get the help that they need. And of course, the event is meant to remember those who are lost. So thank you for your support over the years for this event.
Well, we're sorry that you're here, but as I've told you before, over the many years you've come forward, I admire greatly, as does the Commissioner's Court, you turning your personal loss and your personal grief into productive energy so that we are bringing awareness to this jointly through your good efforts and the efforts of other family members in the county and our media efforts. And so I want to thank you for again, turning your loss into awareness, which will also turn into prevention and treatment. So thank you. Yes. Thank you so much. So let me read this proclamation here. So this is a court proclamation recognizing North Texas Overdose Awareness Day. And whereas International Overdose Awareness Day is a global campaign on the 31st day of August of each year, which sanctions events held locally to promote awareness of the opioid crisis. And whereas preliminary data released by the CDC shows that there were more than 72,000 overdose deaths in the United States in 2025, representing a decline in the number of lives lost. And whereas the CDC credits this decline to increased awareness of overdose, the use of MOAD treatments such as methadone, Suboxone, buprenorphine, and widespread community availability of naloxone, opioid antagonist, which can stop or reverse an overdose. And whereas the North Texas Overdose Awareness Day aims to raise awareness of drug overdose within a community, to provide resources, support, and harm reduction for those who struggle with substance abuse disorder and the disease of addiction, to reduce the stigma of drug-related deaths, and to acknowledge the grief felt by families and friends, remembering those who have died or had a permanent injury as a result of a drug overdose. And whereas the North Texas Overdose Awareness Day spreads the message that substance use disorder, addiction, and overdose deaths affects all of us, regardless of race, gender, education, or socioeconomic status. And whereas it is imperative that we set aside a day for remembrance and education to unite in the fight against the tragedy of drug overdose, which is entirely preventable. And now therefore be it resolved, the Denton County Commissioners Court does hereby proclaim August the 31st as North Texas Overdose Awareness Day in Denton County and urges all citizens to remember those who struggle daily with substance use disorder and all of those whom we have lost due to drug addiction and overdose. Done in open court this the 18th day of August 2026 upon a motion by the chair.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Williams. Members, are there any additional comments y'all would like to make?
Yeah, if you, go ahead, ladies. Ladies first.
I just want to thank you, as the judge has said, for turning a tragedy into help for others. Drug abuse affects all of us, and any time that we can get education out to people and take the stigma away, a lot of times the stigma is what causes people not to get help. So I just want to thank you, and I appreciate your being here, and just Lord bless you, because I know it's not easy. But thank you.
Thank you for your words.
Is there anyone else?
Thank you so much. I don't know of anybody else who could take a horrible tragedy like that and turn it into a positive for people in the future. So thank you so very much for what you've done, and keep up the good work.
Very kind.
Yes, ma'am. You know, I don't have a whole lot of words because it would tear my family up. You know, my wife and we wouldn't know what to do. And so, and what you're doing, there's no way it doesn't remind you every day of the wonderful son that you've lost to this horrible disease. And for you to step out and to on a daily basis have discussions with families to try to help them, it says a lot about you. And obviously God had that choice for whatever horrible reason. He chose you and your family to deal with that so you could continue putting this out and to try to help other families. So hopefully they don't go through what you and your family went through. So I again, don't have enough words to tell you how sorry I am for your family. But for what you're doing for the rest of the world is very selfless. And it's unbelievably appreciated.
Amen.
So thank you so much, ma'am.
And I concur with all that's been said. It's unimaginable what you've done, but it's fantastic what you're doing. And thank you for those facts and things. I'm so, you know, our country is great, and I'm glad that we're a leader in the world, but I don't want us to be leading on this. And so I'm glad that we're seeing at least a trajectory change, but we have to really change that. We do not need to be the country with the most of these kind of awful tragedies. So thank you what you're doing.
I love this picture,
Yeah.
Sharon, with of Randy here, and I think it's important to show this and call his name and remember that there's a human side to this issue. It's not abstract, it's not proclamations, it's not just lighting up the courthouse, which we're all about, and that's something that we can do today, but it's really the Randys of the world, and I want to thank you for sharing your story. I know it's difficult, but as we bring that's part of awareness. That's part of the awareness is going through that. So, any other comments? All right, we do have a motion and a second. Hearing other comments, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Let's go take a picture.
I think
Yes.
she has a comment.
Oh, did you have something else
I
to
just
say,
wanted to
Sharon?
make sure we invite everyone to join us. It is Monday, August 31st, 6:30 p.m. on the east lawn of the Denton Courthouse on the square. So
Perfect. And Teresa has it all reserved with you and everything. It's going to be a great event. All right, we have a motion and a second, and we've just voted. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Sharon.
Like Donna, I fell on top of Donna coming down the stairs.
There we go. Next, let's go to item 3D, which is a presentation regarding data centers in Denton County, and we have Commissioner Williams. I'll let him introduce this item.
Yeah, thank you, Judge. Obviously, this is a hot topic in and around the state and even the country, but we hear about it every day. We've got multiple cities that are concerned about data centers. Obviously, you're hearing about the one in Westlake, Keller border. We've got some that we're concerned about in Aubrey and Sanger. And so we wanted to educate ourselves a little bit more. I think there's a lot of misinformation, good, bad, or indifferent. And so I reached out to Bert, and he's also a city council member in Frisco and an expert in this field, and wanted him to come give us kind of a good, bad, indifferent, the positives and negatives, and then obviously the financial benefits one way or the other as well, because I think a lot of the cities and counties will look at it maybe only from one perspective, from the financial side. But at the end of the day, we all need to understand to the best of our abilities, and the judge even gave me something a minute ago from a conference he was at in NACU, and this tells you how big of a deal it is. It's literally, it's a, I don't know, 3 or 4 page information about data centers. And this isn't the first one he's actually given me, this is the second one. So it tells you how important this is to the citizens. And so, Bert, I would love for you to come up and kind of give us, again, the pros and cons. And Bert doesn't have any fight really in this. It's more of an educational, he's not trying to push any of them here to get them going. He's not out here fighting against them. This is going to be a good education for us to make our own decisions. And for citizens that maybe aren't able to be here today or to watch today, they can go back and watch at any point in time, because all of our court is obviously audio recorded and will be on the website for somebody to look at. So, Bert, thank you so much for being here. Judge, I appreciate it.
Perfect, good. Good morning, Councilman.
Good morning, Judge Eads. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. Judge Eads, Commissioner Williams, Commissioner Falconer, Commissioner Mitchell, Commissioner Edmondson, soon to be, in my opinion, hopefully Commissioner Wiley, elected officials, members of the city government, and most importantly, the public. It is such an honor to address the Denton County Commissioners Court. I think this forum and forums like this all over the country is where real policy making and real decisions get made. We saw this morning an ambulance that was gifted to Oak Point, a gentlelady who was talking about the loss of her son, important issues that affect the community. And I'll tell you, the reason I'm up here is because I'm on the front lines of an industry. And I, for one, I'm sick and tired of either lack of information, no information, obfuscation by the industry, but conversely, disinformation, propaganda, and absolute abject lies that are being spread all around. And I'll tell you, it's because very few people from my industry have the courage to get up and tell you what it actually is. There's a line in Proverbs that I absolutely love. It says, the person with great skill stands before kings, not before ordinary men. I love that line. Because to me, there's nothing ordinary about the United States of America. The greatest privilege I have is not that I'm a veteran or this or that, it's that I'm an American citizen. All right. That is the greatest privilege that I have. I get to have an active participation in building and creating the United States of America. And the United States of America, when people come here and they say, oh, what is the American dream? The streets of America are not paved with gold. They're paved with ingots of possibilities. And America is known for innovation. It's known as the home where the Wright brothers took to flight. The Industrial Revolution would have sputtered out like a fizzling flame in Europe if it wasn't for the United States. Alexander Graham Bell. We had the transistor that was made here. Everything that you see here in the modern age is because of the transistor that was made here in the United States. Chips, fabrication, proper transmission for cars. I mean, the list goes down and down and down. Americium, elements that we haven't seen. And now, we're talking about, in my opinion, which is tantamount to nothing more than a fancy air conditioner, because that's what a data center is. It's a fancy air conditioner. People want to put names on it, but that's ultimately all it is. It is a building that is essentially a giant machine, and that machine's entire purpose is to make sure the computers that are inside of that machine have power and have cooling. So what is the big deal? Nobody was talking about data centers last year, right? Anybody in this room, was this on the top of your top 10 list of things to talk about? What happened? Well, 3 things happened. Number one, we had the rise of agentic agents. So what is an agentic agent? What is Claude? What is ChatGPT? What is this magical thing called AI? Well, it's nothing more than a program that figures out the probability of certain things. It's a strange way to look at it, but it basically takes a look, and if you give it enough data, it'll say, hey, the probability of this data matching up with this data is higher, and so we can make the link. It's something that augments and has already changed a lot of people's lives. It's been in use by very large companies and governmental organizations for years, but essentially, that technology has been democratized to the average user to now help you find the best tickets for a baseball game, all the way up to getting advice on how to solve some really hard math problems. And the thing about the agentic race that's happening today is we are on the race for something known as quantum computing. And to me, quantum computing is the existential threat to Western civilization. I love this country, and I love everything about it, because to me, we are the pinnacle of what Western civilization is. You need proof, ma'am. Take a look at a squirrel. A squirrel has rights here, right? If somebody did something horrible to a squirrel, they'd be locked up in a hoosgaw overnight. I think that's worth protecting. But more importantly, the quantum computing can be seen just something as simple as this. If I was to go up to a maze and I use a regular program, I would go up and I'd say, oh, here's a wall. That's false. Okay, I'm going to go up here. I know that's false. I'll turn left. Okay. Well, there's a wall here too. That's false. If I go up, now I know this is false, now I can go this way. And a regular machine or computer learning or even the current AIs, they use that methodology. Quantum computing, think of it now as looking over that maze. It sees all the directions all at once. Quantum computing uses a property of quantum mechanics, without going too far into the weeds, known as a quantum state. So right now we deal in ones and zeros. That's a light switch. It's either on, it's off. That's binary, that's computer. Quantum computing deals in yes, no, maybe. And if you say that's PFM, pure freaking magic, it is. It absolutely is. It doesn't make sense, but that's the way it is. Once quantum computing gets trained to be truthful, every single thing that we do is vulnerable. Your bank account can be hacked. County systems, SCADA systems, your central plant for the police, the way that your jails operate, the sheriff's department, the way that your jails operate with your systems, lawyers who are sitting here, your records, your medical records, your banking records, the location of nuclear submarines, everything suddenly becomes vulnerable. And if China wins that war, or Qatar wins that war, because there's a lot of bad people out there, they win that war, our quality of life, that America that I love, will now play second fiddle, and I refuse for us to play second fiddle. So data centers, let's get back to this. Why suddenly this giant attack on data centers? Well, there's a number of different reasons. I spoke about the obfuscation. People in my industry don't get up and generally talk to commissioners' courts or let the public know what is actually being built. The second thing is, our enemies know for a fact that if they stop us in this, they will have an advantage. And number three, because they know it destabilizes the American worker. I'll tell you why. The data centers right now employ jobs that are not and cannot be farmed out for the most part to H-1B workers. They're grown here in the United States. These are jobs where you're not just raising minimum wage, you're also raising minimum skill. Electricians, plumbers, technicians, scientists, data center employ everyone from every single discipline to work. Metal fabricators, security, police, everyone, hundreds and thousands of jobs during the construction of a data center. Number two, the supplemental industries. You might have heard some of these things that, oh, okay, well, data centers only employ a couple people. Sure, an airplane only employs 2 pilots and about 3 or 4 crew that are flying with them. But hundreds of jobs are created to support each airplane. Well, it's the same thing. A data center may only have a couple operators, where you're going to need generator techs, UPS technicians, fabricators, hydraulic engineers, sheet metal workers, landscapers, hundreds and hundreds of jobs that benefit the community. Water, that's a big topic of conversation, right? And it is absolutely true. Data centers in the past were notorious for the way that they used water. In fact, if you were to take a look at an air-cooled data center, per data center footprint that was out there, each data center used 1.4 to 1.8 acre-feet of water a year per acre of data center. That was more than a golf course. They were extremely irresponsible. But that's not the data center of today. See, the data center of today that use these very fancy chips require an extensive amount of cooling, and they're what is known as closed-loop systems. Think of the radiator in your car. You're not filling up your car's radiator nonstop. In fact, you fill it up and you generally take a look at it when the check engine light comes on. It's very similar technology. In fact, most of these sites now don't even use water. They use propyl alkyl glycol, which is known as Dow frost. It's basically the juice that you see inside of a vape pen is what they're circulating in there, so no water. In fact, the average data center now, that is AI data center, uses less water than a Walmart, uses less water probably than this building. The only water that's used is for landscaping and toilets. Third thing is power generation. Right now, Texas is facing an unprecedented need for power generation. The current state of power generation in Texas is about 80 gigawatts of power. So a gigawatt of power roughly is about 750,000 to a million homes. Texas has a need for 80 gigawatts of power to support its residential as well as commercial. Out of that, the projections go now for about 95 gigawatts of power. Out of those 80 gigawatts, a full 30% are non-dispatchables. In other words, solar, wind, et cetera. You can't turn the sun off or start it up, and you can't turn the wind off or start it up. So these data centers generally consume a decent amount of power, and it was absolutely a strain on the grid. In fact, if you can hear this in my voice, there's a difference between air-cooled and liquid-cooled data centers. I would urge this Commissioner's Court to definitely look at those two and make those a big part of your decision-making. But nowadays, data centers are realizing, hey, what could we do to actually buttress the grid? And it's all driven by economies. Power is getting expensive.
Yeah.
It's unreliable at times. So they're self-generating for their own supplies. And some of these data center campuses are over a gigawatt in size. I've worked on data centers where I can't tell you where they are, but let's just say they were the peaker power plant for an entire grid system. So that means that Snowmageddon that happened,
Yeah.
we can hedge against it, Judge.
Yeah.
Number three would be the tax benefits and the revenues. These things are not cheap. Especially, I'm going to throw some words out. It's jargon, but GB200, GB300, ROSE, these are the names of the chips that actually sit there. So just like you have an Intel chip that sits in your computer, you have a GB200 chip, you have a GB300 chip, you have Vera Rubin chips, all of these chips, I'm just talking NVIDIA, but these chipsets that sit in there consume a lot of power, they consume a lot of cooling, et cetera, but they're also very expensive. So from a property tax standpoint, if you're looking at a facility that costs on average between 5 to 10 billion, not million or 100 million, 5 to 10 billion dollars, what is the tax revenue that you are getting? So that tax revenue could either be the property tax revenue, let's say, for all intents and purposes, let's say it's anywhere from 0.5 to 1%, or it could be the full sales tax revenue of 2% that comes down. Either way, if we're talking about a $10 billion data center, that's anywhere from $10 million to $20 million a year. That funds schools, that allows you to purchase that ambulance you saw today, that allows you to help bring programs to the community jails that get people off addiction service, and et cetera. It helps schools build stadiums and also fix their needs instead of going to bonds and raising our taxes. But conversely, we have to be responsible, because the trap is that a lot of places all over the country have seen the effects of just paying money or getting people who are willing to pay money without looking at the abatements properly, without looking at the depreciation. So this is where policymakers like you and decision makers like like you and your entire engineering team have to make sure that the economics make sense for the community. But the one part that I really want to drive home is this, In the 50s and 60s, the automotive industry arguably helped to shape the United States in a massive way. And people got behind it. And it's because of that, I argue, because of that, as well as other industries, that we had NASA that got us to the moon and brought about discoveries the likes of which we've never seen. We wouldn't have seen a pushback like this on oil and gas, and that is the bedrock of Texas, or building highways and construction. We must take a look at this from the standpoint of the technological innovation that is happening. And I proffer a few different solutions that benefit everyone. For example, right now, water is a very big deal. With data centers, one of the things that I would love to push forth as a policy is, why can't we get these companies that are moving in, having them create reservoirs or ways to sequester water as they're traveling down. Maybe it's a grove of trees. Maybe it's something that actually takes it and puts water back into the aquifer. In fact, some of these companies are doing that. Out in the Permian, I can tell you, they're actually building data centers with water treatment facilities that are taking the brackish water out of the ground that is left over from fracking, or using fracking water. They're purifying it and returning it into the aquifer. Or they're putting it into the municipal water system. When it comes to power, I would argue that this Commissioner's Court and other municipalities work out a good deal with power purchase agreements, not only for what it looks like at the intertie, but also what it looks like for the county. Maybe it's tied into a hospital grid and critical grids to make sure that those systems never go out. If it is coming into a municipality or a town, listen to the residents. If the residents don't want it, is it because of real issues, or is it because of a small minority of people who are online that are actually, let's face it, I'm just going to be blunt. There's a lot of paid influencers from foreign governments right now who are trying to destroy this. And I'll tell you, there's no industry that I know of where somebody with a high school diploma can get up and make over $200,000 a year. Hundreds of them. I see them. I work with them. And for anybody who wants to know my pedigree in this, I got into this accidentally. It was a Navy buddy of mine. We were on a veteran forum, and he's like, hey, do you want to learn how to commission data centers? This was 10, 12, it was more than that, years ago. And I said, okay. And I went on, I learned a skill, I ended up being really good at it, and I commissioned the world's first liquid-to-chip-cooled AI data center for a Fortune 5, and I wrote the global execution plan on how to do it safely. I've got patents under my belt and all that, and I've helped my friends, and I've taken high school students who are from Denton County and put them into gainful employment. We have 19, 20-year-olds right now who are making $75,000 a year, learning a skill. And we have people who are 24, 25 years old who are making $200,000 a year. And this is the norm, this is not the exception. So I'll leave you with this. There's a quote by Abraham Lincoln that I love. He said, good things come to those who wait, but only what's left over by those who hustle. And this is an industry, it's a business, much like anything else. And it will move away from Texas if Texas is continuing to, have policies where these companies don't necessarily work with Texas. And I'll tell you right now, they already are. They're moving to other states. If you don't think this is political, I'll give you another example. It's kind of shocking to me. I had dinner with the governor of Washington. His name was Bob Warren. And I asked him point blank, I said, what are we doing to mitigate power issues, and what are some lessons learned that we can learn from other states to help Texas? He's like, well, he gave the runaround. All of a sudden, he places a moratorium on them. Kathy Hochul, the governor of New York, is placing a moratorium on them. This has become the talking point of the Democratic Party, and it's become a political cudgel. It's become a Republican-Democrat thing, and to me, it's irrelevant. This is an engine of job creation, and it is an engine of innovation. In the early 2000s, Texas had a chance to have the largest hadron collider in the world. It would have made CERN look like a pea shooter. The discoveries we could have made here we would have planted a seed that would have created a tree to provide shade for the next generation of entrepreneurs, inventors, engineers right here. And instead, we kowtowed to political pressure. And I would just ask this: let's not lose an opportunity for our kids to have jobs that are H-1B proof, that are AI proof, that upskill the community. Somebody who knows how to fix a 20 amp breaker or a 50 amp breaker in a data center knows how to fix the 20 amp breaker in your house, so you don't have to spend $500 on an electrician. That money stays with the community. And this is a skill that's passed down from father to son, from family to family, and it benefits everyone. So respectfully, I'll tell you, the industry has done a lot of bad things. It's also done a lot of good things, but we need to start getting informed. And I ask you all to just remember that there are people like me out there who, literally, I am the American dream. I don't know how else to put it.
That's okay.
I am the American dream. And this is something that I've seen not only for me, but for my friends, for veterans, for Americans, to pull themselves out of generational poverty or pull themselves into a place where they have lifetime wealth, but more importantly, they have skill that they share with the community. Thank you very much for your time. I'd love to answer any questions.
Well, thank you for a great outline of some of the issues that have been in the media and on social media and other forums. And thank you, Bert. And I appreciate some of your thoughtful suggestions that we can, as it relates to water, as it relates to electricity. Those are some of the big driving concerns that people have. So what does that look like, and what are some best practices? I think that as Denton County starts down this path of potentially dealing with more data centers that are coming into our jurisdiction, I think it's important that we have this information about what are the best practices, not only here in the Metroplex, but across Texas and across the U.S. And working with the industry to make sure that we're able to receive benefits of the installation of one of these if they choose Denton County as a site, and also prepare for any and prevent any negative consequences. And then how do we make it the very best project that we can if it's coming here? So I think that's exactly what we would want to do. And I know that you're not going anywhere. I appreciate you being here today, but I know you're just a phone call away, and there's other resources and toolkits, whether it be from the Texas Association of Counties or NACO or others. So we'll be happy to, as we work next steps, ensure that best practices are what we are looking to implement here. So thank you so much.
Judge, real quick before I forget, a good resource for governments, for local governments who may not have an engineering staff to properly assess whether a data center is even feasible for their location, because there is a lot of issues. There are organizations, we have the COG, we have the RTC, you have these commissioners' courts who are one phone call away. Although my passion belies, there's a bias for this. Obviously, I've seen it firsthand, but it may not be right for your community. It is okay if it's not right for your community. But all I ask is we make an informed choice.
Correct.
That's it.
Yeah, makes sense. All right.
And Judge, you're absolutely right. Really what this is all about is to educate us. So when it comes time, and I would say Denton County is definitely one of the counties that is always looking for the next best opportunity for not only the citizens that we represent, but for the growth. We're behind innovative types of scenarios. But again, we want to make sure it's the right thing for our county and the citizens that we represent at the end of the day. And there is a lot of misinformation. I've learned a lot just sitting with you, talking outside of here. And this is why I really appreciate you coming today to educate us. And I think it's imperative that we sit down with these organizations that are wanting to do data centers and make sure that they're bringing the best to the best options for our resources, if you will, or lack of. Unfortunately, water is a very serious scenario that we're not the only ones in Denton County, the whole state is dealing with. So I really appreciate that information, and it allows us to be a lot more educated when these folks come to the table and are trying to sell on why Denton County is the right place for a data center. So.
Judge.
Yes, ma'am. Commissioner Edmondson.
Good to see you again, Councilman, and congratulations on your election. This was a very interesting presentation. Have you been in touch at all with Governor Abbott's office? Because, of course, he's got some thoughts on data centers as well, particularly for rural areas?
Ma'am, I think I would love to have an opportunity to interface. I think the part of the reason why I came out of the shadows on this is because I got tired of people who don't know anything about this industry talking about it. And coming from a place where they're experts, it was infuriating. I'm sure some of the military members can recognize this whenever they see a movie and people talk about, a certain situation, like, that's the way I feel. But if you have any connection, it would be an honor to talk with Governor's team.
Let's see what we can do.
Thank you, ma'am.
Go ahead, Kevin.
Go ahead.
Judge?
Yes, go ahead.
Councilmember, thank you so much
Thank you,
for
Commissioner.
that. I appreciate you as a friend. You've informed me a lot on this. I happen to be a bit of a geek anyway, and so I've educated myself on data centers for quite some time, including the fact that a data center went into Carrollton within a half mile of my house about 10 years ago, and has been, quite frankly, a great neighbor. In fact, that data center, even when Carrollton needed to move their call center, they became a place to house our call center until the permanent one that's being built right now. So for many years it's been there. But serving as a public servant for a long time and on planning zoning for a long time, I just remind people that there are, I don't know that I can list any land use that is always good in every situation. And the whole point of zoning and planning that we do is because we want to look at land uses and adjacent land uses and all those things, and you need to use facts on those things. And then you, as you said, then you look at what are mitigating factors that we can do, and you've mentioned many of those. And I think that's what, I'm with you. I'm not here to say a data center should go everywhere.
Yes.
But I also wouldn't say that even a single-family house should go everywhere, right? No one's up in arms over, I've mentioned this to colleagues, no one's up in arms about slaughterhouses. They have to go somewhere, though, if we want to have bacon or beef, right? And but you don't want that next door. Data center is probably something I'd rather have next door than a slaughterhouse. But we need to look at these things from a factual standpoint. Thank you for helping to provide those facts.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Bert, I just want to thank you for being here. Like you said, there's a lot of information out there, good information and bad information. And I appreciate the fact of the education that you're giving us on data centers, because when and if it comes to our door, and I believe it's already barking at the door, that we will be able to make intelligent decisions about whether we accept it or not accept it. We've got to ensure that it supports our long-term economic goals and land use objectives, and you're coming and letting us know what you know about data centers. I certainly do appreciate it, because as we grow, there are many times that we're going to have, and whether we like it or not, technology, electronics are out there, and we're going to have to be able to deal with it. And the more information we have, the better we're going to be dealing with it. So I appreciate you, and I appreciate your service on the city council, and thank you, and on the COG board. Thank you, I appreciate you.
Yeah, Judge.
And the RTC as well.
Yeah.
Yes, go ahead.
Judge, I wanted to add, and Judge, you may have been involved in this or not, the city of Roanoke actually has a data center that's been there 10 or 12 years right off of 170. And it was interesting because when it was going in, it was real hush. They were trying to be real quiet about it. And I didn't even know. I wasn't involved in politics at that time. I was, worried about my real world, running my own organization. But I do remember them saying, being pretty quiet about it. And they were worried about security. And now I understand more so why. But it's huge. If you drive down there, now I realize what it is. And to your point, Commissioner, it seems like it's not a bad neighbor. I haven't heard anything about it. It's been there, again, 10, 12 at least years. And please realize, folks, I'm not for or against. I am here to make the best judgment for our fellow citizens. And I think it's also imperative that people understand, that are watching and that are here today, cities and counties only have so much control of what can or cannot go in somewhere. We have less ability to say no to things than the cities do. And that's where we've asked legislatively to have our representatives, please give us a little more of our authority back so we can help make sure that everybody here can say, yes, we understand you want a data center. Okay, we understand that. Hey, that's probably not the best location for it. We would really prefer for you to look at this area. We feel like that would be a better fit, you know, but yes, we can make those suggestions, but we have no teeth or authority to make it, to not allow it to happen. This group up here can be against something or for something, which is wonderful, but at the end of the day, we can't stop most of anything that's gonna occur in the unincorporated areas. I just think it's very important for everybody to understand that.
Commissioner, thank you for bringing that up. That was something I wanted to mention. We don't have a say in this.
Yeah.
We really don't. And we've been talking
Is your
already.
mic on, Diane?
It says it is, sorry.
Move
I
it
just
towards you.
stopped talking.
Let's move it towards you.
We've been talking with some of our legislators, and they understand we're being harmed by the power they're taking from us. So anyone who can help us get that return to the cities and the counties will be doing our citizens a great favor, because right now, let's say the best data center in the whole world wanted to come here, we have no say about that.
The only thing that we do have is whether we give them abatements or not. And from what I understand, these things make so much money. They would love to see abatement, but they're not gonna not come here for us not giving them any tax benefits. And which, you know, that's really the biggest power play, if you wanna call it, authority this group has, are those type of things when it comes to organizations. And I'll be the first to admit, we've had some phenomenal organizations come here. We're very lucky of a lot of the companies that have come to Denton County, and we're very appreciative of it. And so we welcome good, innovative things to Denton County. It just has to be good for everybody. So,
Commissioner
thank you,
Williams
Judge.
and Commissioner Edmondson, you hit the nail on the head. Right now, there is a power grab, and local governments and county governments are seeing this firsthand. SB 840 is a prima facie example of that, where in my city, somebody can come in on commercially zoned land and build a multifamily apartment complex with a density of 108, and we can't, nor can the public, have a say in this. And so, to that point, sir, the levers that I would argue that you have are get the most out of it. Have them build a stadium, have them build a waste treatment facility, have them build an addendum to a jail or a courthouse, have them build a park, have them build a workforce development program for the community college and the high schools to be able to get good paying jobs, a certain percentage of the workforce, make them be LEED, so LEED, so, you know, all the material has to come from within 40 miles or 50 miles. They can be engines of economic drivers.
Yes.
We just have to make sure that they are.
Yes, and we appreciate that suggestion. I say that this court does a pretty good job
Yes, sir.
of doing exactly that, trying to make sure when we do sit down at the table with any of our big developers that we try to engineer as much as possible that all the dollars stay in and around Denton County, and that we make a good partnership. We always ask for green space. You know, if we need to have area for a fire department, we ask for that. Make sure there's areas for schools, depending on what type of development. Usually these are housing developments, but nevertheless, I feel confident that this group does a really good job of that. And again, we really appreciate you coming in here today and educating ourselves and any of the citizens that are in the audience and listening. So thank you so much for your time.
As a resident of Denton County, I'm grateful y'all are our commissioners. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
We
Thank you, Bert.
appreciate your
Appreciate it.
service. Thank you. Thank you, Bert.
Thank you, Judge. Appreciate it, Commissioners.
Absolutely. Next, we're going to proceed to, our architects are in the house. We're going to proceed to 13B, presentation of an update and status on the construction document phase for the civil courts building by HOK and Byrne Construction and any appropriate action.
Judge,
Yes,
if I could make an introduction.
I would love for you to.
So we have our architects, Kurt Pardee from HOK and Jason Bennett from Park Hill, who we've been working with these gentlemen and many others from their firms for months and months now. And commissioners and judge, we are this is, if you remember from our schedule, this is we're approaching that time where the construction documents are complete, and we need approval to move to the next phase, which is getting our burn construction, our construction manager at risk, to go out to bid to give us a guaranteed maximum price. So these gentlemen aren't going to give us much on pricing right now, because that's what's next, is getting the actual price, not just estimates. But we wanted to let you know that we presented to the steering committee a week or a week and a half ago, and everything was good. And I'll turn it over to Kurt and Jason.
Thank you, Commissioner. My name's Kurt Pardee with HOK, and I have Jason Bennett here with Park Hill. We are teamed together on this project, and first off, we want to say thank you for hiring us to work with your team on this great building. So we've been working, over a year now on the design of the new civil courthouse for you, and we've submitted drawings to the city for permit, and kind of in the phase of finalizing the construction documents. So that'll be coming out soon. So this is a great time to kind of show you where we are on the project. The first image here is really the overall site plan of your new Denton County Civil Courthouse. You know, some of the things, it's an existing facility, so, you know, renovating the building, what was an office building, into your civil court is a great idea here. I think it really makes a lot of sense. We've done a lot of study on that and evaluated the building, the systems, and how it's going to work for you. But some of the changes we're making to the property include at the front side, there's the big parking area need to be ADA compliant, so there's going to be some grading and repaving up there to make that work better. We are re-landscaping around the building, creating a nicer plaza coming up to the front entrance of the building, really making it more like a courthouse, you know, what it would be.
And Kurt, do you mind if I just interject just for a second? The front we're talking about now is, I know you've all been, is actually what we would have said was the back. Where the employees came into what was the Sally Beauty, and the front, which is the lower side there, that will be our judge's entry only, and you'll talk about that in a minute. So I just wanted to interject that.
Thank you. Yeah, you're right. This area here becomes the front entrance, which is now really the employee entrance. So we needed to kind of fix that and make that work better. On the other side of the building is where the secured judicial parking will be located. So we're creating a new fence around that area, a new wall, giving them security as they park and get into the building. And then we're also making a few modifications around the central plant area, kind of on the northwest side of the building. So those are really the main pieces of the site. We're also updating utilities on the property and connecting and reconnecting to those. So those are some of the changes from a site standpoint. Then the level one, which is going to be the front entrance of the facility. Over here, the main plaza coming to the main entrance of the building. We're really not making enormous changes to the public lobby other than new finishes. And then we're outfitting it with new security, new equipment, and how that will function. So people coming into the building will go through security to get into the lobby and the elevators and go up into the building. There's also a really nice public community room over here that's going to be available after hours and for many uses. That's a part of the project solution. There's multiple meeting rooms in that area, and then this area, this kind of purplish area, is the jury assembly space. So that's where jurors will come in, assemble, get selected for court, and go up into the building. So those are the main pieces. There's also some building support, and then there's an existing cafeteria that the building has and that you're going to be using for the project. Level 2 is where the courtrooms begin. So we have the kind of bluish color here are the large spaces are the the courtrooms on the next 3 floors. Each floor has really 3 courtroom spaces. Level 2 has 2 probate courts and 1 district civil court. And then the purple areas that are kind of in the secured areas behind the courtrooms on the floor are judicial chambers, and also the green areas are jury deliberation spaces. So, you know, typical courthouse, a little different layout, but it's going to work really well for this county. And then also there's some clerk space that rounds out use of this floor, and also there are the attorney lounge area over here on this floor. We also have some smaller hearing rooms on each of the floors, so going to be providing another really court space for the floor, some of those are going to be white boxed out, so they'll be finished out later as the county grows and needs more courtroom spaces. Then moving up to level 3, this is where we have 3 district civil courtrooms, otherwise very similar layout. And then here we have district clerks on this floor. And then level 4, again, more courtrooms, district civil courtrooms, hearing rooms, one's shelled out for future use, and the judicial chambers also, and jury deliberation spaces that support those, and then just district attorney offices on this floor, and then the law library also on this floor. You know, each floor will have updated finishes, public space finishes, public elevators, and then also on level 5, we're keeping most of the building as is. So this is where we're not doing a lot of intervention, really. We're just updating the public restroom spaces and some of the other support spaces, but that's it. There are a lot of office spaces up on level 5, and the county will be able to use those for future use.
All right.
Any general questions? Jason, anything to add?
No, I would just add that on level 5, we've intentionally left that blank and designed the building in a way that it can.
Let's put that microphone over to just a little bit. You can move it. You can move it. Thank you.
On level 5, we've intentionally designed the building so that way you can either A, move into the existing offices as is, as you need, or B, future renovate the space and add additional courtrooms as needed.
Right. And that's a good point. This building, as you know, right now we're already over capacity at the courts building because we have what is now 4 courts that are not there. So we're already 4 courts over, and then we're adding as we grow. But when we get this building built and occupied, we'll have multiple of those associate courtrooms, hearing rooms will be available for future, and then we have the 5th floor for future, and in addition, in the current courts building, we'll have a minimum of 4 courtrooms for future there as well. So we'll be set for quite a while.
Long after we're here.
Yeah, that's right. So, court members, we will get you this and any other information you'd like to see, and we'll get some of that to you. But just want to make sure if anyone has any objection, but we'd like to move to that next stage of getting our.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm proud of the county and the court for seizing the opportunity to acquire this building.
Absolutely.
It's a large corporate campus here in the county, and I think it went to a very good home when it went to Denton County, and we were literally on the eve of starting design on adding additional courts to an already very crowded campus over there. And how do we figure that out? And we've just not had peace in our heart about it for many years, just trying to figure out what's the best way to do that. Looked at lots of different iterations on this, when this opportunity made itself available, I'm proud of the court for again acquiring the property and figuring out a vision for that would be a meaningful impact to the residents and the public, and also the entire judicial system. This provides relief and elbow room for our criminal courts, our district attorney's office, and the county clerk and the district clerk and everybody who occupies that space over there. So the existing McKinney Courts building. So anyway, I want to thank the design team for all your efforts. Kevin, thank you for your leadership. Jody, Holly,
Yep.
Scott, Dale, and facilities. There's many users, and also the user committee who's given us input, the judges and the clerks. Thank you for your efforts and input on this as well. I think it's going to be an outstanding project. I think one thing that I want to underscore publicly is it's been a real value of the Commissioners Court that we add additional public space in the buildings that we are constructing or acquiring or remodeling, such as the case with this one. And so that it's not built just for the officials or department heads or county employees that are there Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, but it really has a keen eye for public use for our civic groups, our partner agencies, our nonprofits that we do so much with to really help with the civic life in the county. And so there's a significant public space on the first floor, which will be really help the utilization of the building and maximizing the money that we're spending on this and the return on investment. So I want to just highlight that. So good things are going to be happening, not just in the courtroom over there, but actually in the civic space. Commissioner Edmondson, I think you had your light on.
I just think we have done a really good job of planning strategically, not just for our needs today, but what we're going to need in the future. And that's kind of hard to do sometimes. It's like looking in a crystal ball. But I'd like to compliment my fellow court members because Sally Building was an excellent purchase. It's going to be a really great space for our judicial and others. But I really am proud of us for strategically looking at what this could become. So thank you all.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other comments?
Go ahead. No, Ms. Mitchell.
Age before beauty.
Beauty before age.
I just want to echo what the judge has said and thank the Judge Kevin. Thank you. You've stepped in and taken a leadership on this job, and we appreciate it. And all the staff members that have helped. You know, we all got a email from one of our constables on yesterday. Yeah. And he came and talked to me about space. Mm-hmm. And it's so important that we as Commissioners Court don't just look at today, but look at the future. Because this county is growing. You know, when I first came to the county, we had 400,000 people, and now we're 1 million plus. So I think it's so important that we look to the future and make sure that we have space, as the judge says, for all of our employees, but also for the public, because the public has use for all these buildings for meetings and baby showers and what have you, weddings. And so I'm glad that we not only take care of the employees, but we take care of the public in making sure that we have space available for Denton County people. Thank you.
Yeah, very good. Okay,
Judge,
Commissioner.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming up here today and giving us a little overview and update on where we are and how things are going. I don't know if everybody realizes the amount of time and energy that our employees put into this. You know, it's not always easy conversations, and so I do appreciate, I know Kevin and the judge and Jody have been involved in this, you know, from day one, and I appreciate them putting forth that effort. I know Scott's team and all the other folks that have been mentioned by the judge that have put a lot of time and effort and energy into trying to make sure we do this right the first time and we're successful. We have done a very good job, this group up here, of identifying our needs for now and then for the future. The ARPA fund money was a huge windfall for this county, and that's what allowed us to purchase these type of buildings, which is I'll say take the burden off of the citizens here for us to be able to purchase it with those dollars. And I really can't speak loud enough about how good of a job this whole group and this whole organization really does to put us and set us up for the future. And something else that hasn't been said today about this new building is, you know, we have something that the main court building doesn't have, a place for people to go sit and eat and, you know, in between cases or during a long case or whatever it may be. It'll also be open to all of our employees, and I'm excited about that. That's something that we get to offer that we haven't been able to offer in the past that I feel will be able to be taken advantage of for not only the folks that come to visit our facility there, but our employees. So again, I really appreciate all the effort and energy and the time that people have put into this. And I look forward to seeing the finished product in about 10 or 15 years. No, because that's what it seems like it takes. And anybody that's done.
No.
Anybody
We're
that's
not
done.
going with that business.
No.
Anybody that's done a remodel of like your kitchen or your bathroom, and you think that was difficult, and by the way, this is no joke, I'm not trying to like hit at anybody, but you know, the wife and the husband usually can't come to terms on something, so you just agree with the wife. That happens with all of us. You know, that's just part of the deal. And so you can put that little on a huge scale, and that's what you're dealing with. It's not easy. It's not easy. So I really appreciate everybody, and congratulations to everybody, and thank you guys for coming. Thank you, Judge.
I'm trying to think who's the wife according to your
Oh, no,
scenario here.
Oh, in this group? Oh, I hear you.
All right.
I didn't say that one.
Okay. Jody has a comment.
I just want to thank the members for their comments on this, and thank HOK for Brett coming today and putting this presentation together. And really, next steps for you guys that we're going to be looking at is we're going to try to come back to you right before Thanksgiving. We're looking at a November 17th timeline for approval of the gross maximum price, or GMP, that have come from Burns. So Burns looking at going out to bid on September 11th. And that time frame, we'll see a GMP come back and have a couple weeks to review that GMP and get that information to you a couple weeks out before it comes to you for approval. So GMP approval for you guys on if we hit the target date of November 17th means that's notice to proceed from you guys for construction, and we look at construction kickoff, if we stay with that timeline, around December 1st. And then substantial completion, and to your 10-year comment, Commissioner, substantial completion, and we're looking at spring of 28. So sometime in spring of 28, and like you said, Commissioner, with any time you have a remodel, let's not cause any problems. Let's don't give hiccups to the project now, but remodels are often difficult because you can come across things that you don't know was in the building. So thank you again.
Thanks.
All right,
Judge.
we have a motion for
Yes.
approval, Commissioner Falconer.
Yes,
Believe wants to
I would
make a-
move approval to proceed.
I'll second it.
Okay.
Any other comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank you again,
Thank you
gentlemen.
very much.
Appreciate it.
Very much.
Thank you.
All right, let's go to, we're going to do an item with Frank Phillips on item 13A, approval of the order of election for the November 3rd, 2026 general election for the purpose of electing county and precinct officers as required by Chapter 16, Section 65 of the Texas Constitution, and of any appropriate action. Good morning, Frank.
Good morning. You have before you the order for the November 3rd general election. All of the races that are going to be on that election are listed in the order. And this is simply calling the election. Later, probably usually end of September, 1st of October, I'll bring you the notice, which will have all of our polling sites, et cetera. Oh, as a reminder, while I'm here, the last day to register is October 5th. And if you're going to vote by mail, you have to send that application in by the 23rd of October.
Perfect, good. The chair will move for approval.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Williams. Any discussion?
Thank you.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay,
Thank you,
we're going
sir.
to take about, a 10-minute break, a little recess, and we're going to let the budget office set up for their budget presentation, and we'll see you in about 10 minutes.
You're talking.
All right, good morning, everybody. Okay, we are reconvening from our recess. And we are going to, where is my, there it is. Excuse me, let's go to 7E. 7E is presentation for the fiscal year 2027 recommended budget and any appropriate action. And good morning, Alejandro. We're glad to have you with us this morning. Before we get started, so I want to say thank you in advance to you and your entire budget office. Thank y'all for your, all the time and efforts that you do. There is a budget season as far as local governments go and the federal government, but it really is, as far as taking specific actions and specific legislatively required timelines, but the budget office really goes year round. So I want to thank y'all for the good work that y'all do. So let's go ahead and we'll hand it off to you. And I know you have some comments related to expenses, and we have our auditor, Jeff May. Good to see you, Mr. May. And I know that y'all have been working on some revenue projections, which is always good. We got the expending side and the revenue side, so we're excited to hear from both of you this morning. So go ahead, Alejandro.
Yes, thank you, Judge and Commissioners. Yep, and that's right. I also do want to thank Jeff and his team for working on those revenues, since we do need that information to be able to balance the budget. I also want to thank the tax office. The tax assessor and her team are actually really helpful during the budget process in providing us with the calculations that we need to be able to also develop a recommended tax rate. And so when working on the recommended budget, one important thing that always comes to mind that I always bring up is the continued increase in population within the county. So we do take a look at the COG estimates that are released every year. From January of 2025 to January of 2026, the population estimates increased by another approximate 31,000. So one of the challenging things for our office every year is, of course, trying to balance a budget that meets the needs of those growing residents and the demand that they have on county departments, while at the same time presenting a conservative budget. But I think that as we continue to go through the presentation, one thing that you'll see is that we've done a pretty good job at balancing both of those priorities. So the recommended budget does include a 2% slide of the pay scale. That is what increases the minimums and the maximums of the pay scale. It also includes a 3% salary adjustment, or what we've historically referred to as a COLA. So both of these do continue to assist with recruitment and retention. And this, of course, does continue to reflect one of the main core priorities, which is continuing to invest in Denton County employees. One thing that I did also want to mention on this point is that we are seeing the impact of health insurance on the budget. So that is impacting the budget by approximately $4 million. It's just due to the rising cost of health insurance, which isn't unique to Denton County. You're seeing that same impact really across other local jurisdictions in the state, but also nationwide. So we are having to increase the employer contribution to the benefit plan so that we're not dipping into reserves within the benefit plan. The recommended budget also includes the funding for the construction of a new fire station, as well as some personnel related to the fire rescue division, which I will also speak about in a little more detail in a further slide. But this, of course, does also reflect one of the other core priorities, which is continuing to invest in emergency response and public safety as well. And all of this we are still able to achieve with a lower tax rate. So the recommended budget does include a lower tax rate from FY 2026. And on this slide here, you're seeing a 10-year history of the ending fund balance just for the general fund. So from 2018 to 2025, these amounts reflect what was available in fund balance at the end of each of those fiscal years, whereas 2026 and 2027 are showing you an estimated amount of what we'll have in fund balance at the end of those years. So you'll see the difference there between 2026 and 2027, and that is due to a funding that we're transferring from the general fund to the permanent improvement fund. It's about approximately $10 million that we're moving over. But this, the amount, the $175.9 million that we're estimated to have at the end of FY 2027 is well within our required fund balance policy for what we want to have within the general fund. And that's based off of a $302 million general fund budget. But of course, this is just looking at the general fund. Across all of our funds, we're estimated to have approximately $372 million at the end of FY 2027. So before I continue on with the rest of the expenditure side of things, Jeff is going to cover some additional revenue-related information.
Good morning, Commissioners. And it's good to see you again another budget time. And I'd also like to say I always like working with Alejandro. We always have to work through all kinds of issues. And anyway, and him and his staff is really good to work with. So. So I go through this, oh, there it is. This slide right here shows, and you see this every year, this is our 8 major sources of funding. And we're going to talk about each one of these in detail, but which property taxes, motor vehicle, intergovernmental revenues, which includes grants, but it's not all grants. There's fees, fines, interest, miscellaneous, and then fund balance reserves, which I'm going to talk about that some more in a minute too. Here's a pie chart that shows how our budget is funded this year. And you see this year 72%, which is typical, is funded with property taxes. And I'm going to talk about those a little bit more in a minute. Fund balance is 11%, and I want to point out a lot of that 11% is actually not in the general fund, but in special revenue funds that are have specific or have restrictions on what you can use the funds for. And you see the breakdown. I won't read through them all, but I just want to point out how property taxes is always our major source of revenues, even though the other ones can have big impacts. Anyway, here's a chart. This is not necessarily an apples to apples chart, but the 2025 column is actuals. 2026 is our estimate as to what we're going to end up as the actuals being for 2026. And then 2027 is actually the revenue estimates. So that's what's a little different. And first you see the taxes, and you notice 2027 estimates is lower than 2026. And I just wanted to talk about that a minute. But and we've talked about this before, but deferrals is the biggest reason for the difference. And this year in our certified totals, it indicated that we have around a little over $24 billion in frozen property that's frozen, or 65 and over and disabled tax freeze. So it's just over 24 billion. Last year, and this is actually a slight decrease from last year, which first time I've seen that happen. The year before it was 21 billion. And so when we get our certified totals, it does not include any of that property, even though we still collect on it. And so when we first got our tax freeze, we weren't sure, or I wasn't sure how that was going to impact us. So we were collecting a lot more, and then I started adding instead of just trying to hit it all at once because I wasn't sure where everything was going to line up. We're doing it a little at a time. And this year we, our estimate right there, that 355 million includes includes 12.5 million of over the tax levy. So just to let you know that, I think, if we collected taxes on all the frozen property, it would it was going to be around, it's kind of hard to say exactly because I don't have all the information, but I would estimate it's probably about 23, 24 million. So what I'm planning on doing, yes, million. And so what we're doing is we're adding a little more each year. Last year, we added 8.5 million to the levy. So we went up to 12.5 this year. And I think we can still climb the next few years. I didn't want to just do it all at once because I think that would create chaos probably the year after we did it. So we're doing it in small pieces and making sure that the numbers are still lining up. This is, like I say, the first time I saw the freeze drop a little bit. I think one of the factors for that is our valuations were somewhat flattened. I think maybe some of the valuations for those properties dropped some too. So, and it's not just losing the properties, there's a lot of factors into that. So anyway, so I actually expect us to collect, I would estimate probably 12 million more based on the numbers I'm seeing, but that's just a kind of rough guess. So I think it's gonna, and it probably maybe even more than that. So anyway, but you see, and last year, the for 2026, it shows 370 million that we estimate we're going to collect. The estimate was, it was about $25 million less than that. About well, I forgot what the number is, but 345 in that ballpark. So anyway, so, and there's a lot of other factors that really complicate tax calculations because, I mean, there's a lot of moving parts, and I wouldn't want to be our tax assessor collector because it's very complicated. But actually our tax levy actually changes probably daily, maybe hourly because of a variety of different factors. Maybe evaluations are settled or in court or settled out, or you know, because when we have certified numbers, the law says we have to have 95% collected, I believe. This year, if I recall, it was around 98% was actually settled at when the certified totals came out. Yeah. So, yeah.
Can I ask you questions? I just want to make sure. So you mentioned you thought that we would likely actually receive 12 or so million more than than our 27 budget, but the budget is more than what the budget was, I guess, in 26, right?
That's right.
But we collected whatever that was, 25 million extra. Right. But you think we're only going to collect maybe half of that this time? I guess where I'm really trying to go is, do you really think that this may be a year where our actual total levy is less than it was this coming years?
I still think it's going to go up because since this year we collected 25 million more than last year,
right?
And that's when we added 8.5 million for this factor. There's a lot of other factors too, but this is by far the largest. So going to 12 and a half, like if we collected the same amount over next year, it's going to be right around 12 million. So that's kind of where I'm coming up with that.
But I just want to, so let me make sure I understand, and maybe slow on this one. So we may, because 12 million plus 355 is not going to be, it's not going to be quite at 370.
Yeah.
Are there other, you're saying that there's other pieces that we're going to potentially collect as far as, you know?
Yes.
It's not just the 12 and a half you're talking about is the amount that we're accepting off the freeze.
Yes.
Dollars, right?
Yes.
Okay, got it. So the actual amount that we will likely collect, and I'm proud that we don't budget that way, right? Because we don't know that we're going to collect it.
Right. Exactly.
But I'm just trying to get your guess is that, so your guess is that we probably still will end up higher than we were in 26.
Yeah, I have no question we will. It's just a matter of how much.
Yeah, got it. That's all I really wanted.
Okay.
Thank you.
No problem. And did mention there's other factors too, but one of the, some of the things that impact our, I mentioned our, I guess the can't think of the word, sorry, on our, when people protest their appraisals and fight that, that's part of it, but we also have other things that actually add to it, such as agriculture loss, exemption losses, and there's other exemptions too. But that's a big one because when someone loses their agriculture exemption, they have to pay 5 years of taxes and not just 1 year. And so that's a big one. There's other things too. One of the things that comes out is we give rebates for TERS, which is usually 3 or 4 million ballpark. And so there's other things too that impact that. So let me see. I think I covered the taxes for now. But any other questions on the taxes? That's a complicated one.
I think it looks great. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. And then the fees, they're going up, still going up some. So, you see the 2025 actuals to 2026 estimates, they went up about 7 million. And we have, I think, a conservative fee estimate the next year. And there's a lot of fees too to consider in this. So, and I was kind of wanting to go through some of those, so some of the larger ones that really impacted our increase, which one of the biggest ones was our county clerk's office. Her fees went up $300,000. In fact, the tax office enters into contracts because because you approve them, but for to do tax collections for other entities, or I think, no, actually you don't approve and she does, I think, I forgot. But anyway, those increased by $400,000. The county clerk records fees, which there's a couple of those went up about $350,000. Those go into a special revenue fund, by the way. We also have a big increase in fire code inspections, which is an indication of our county growing. We also have additional fees. We mentioned the county fire station we're working on, our fire department. We're collecting fees on that currently, and it's just going into a fund and sitting there, but those are kind of newer fees, and those are going to increase dramatically as we get new homes. And so those are some of the fees, but there's a lot of fees and in there. So, but anyway, you see about from this year to last year up 7 million, and I think the estimate is probably somewhat conservative. Sometimes those fees take a different twist, so I don't want to. I'd rather be under than over. So, and then fines, they were very consistent. You see the revenue estimate for next year is exactly the same as what I estimated we collected this year, and that's because I rarely see those change much. Sometimes they go down and up. Court fines from all the courts, from district courts, county courts, JP courts. And this is the county share of those fines, by the way. The state gets a chunk of them too. Intergovernmental revenue, I wanted to talk about that a minute because we don't include in our in the budget the grant activity, but in these actuals and the estimates, it is in there, and that's why the numbers are so much bigger than the estimate for the revenue estimate for 2027. And a big chunk of that is ARPA, which is going to go away and as of December 31st of 2020, or of this year. So anyway, that's coming up. That's going to impact us in other ways too. Auto registration is continually going up, and there's a couple of different big things we collect from that. But that's consistently going up. I guess we're getting more and more cars in the county. And miscellaneous, I don't know if it's worth talking about. It fluctuates every year. We had a surge in 2025 over one or two big payments for, I think they were legal settlement or something. And but it fluctuates each year. I'm usually real conservative on my revenue estimate on those, but and sometimes we don't get a lot. Interest revenue I wanted to talk about. You see the 2027 budget estimates are 12.3 million. We're estimating we're going to collect 26 million, almost 27 the end of this year. But there's one big factor in that, and that we're not going to be getting any more ARPA interest next year. So that's, and in fact, in 2024 and 2025, we collected over almost 8 million one year and 7.5 the other year. So that's going away, and that money is available to use at your discretion. And interest right now, investments are harder than normal to predict because I keep thinking the war's going to be over and then everything's going to go to normal and the Fed's going to start dropping rates. But it's just been unpredictable over the last 2 years, and so I tend to be very conservative on that. And also, always emphasize this: I don't want the Commissioner Court to rely on these funds because we've seen them. There was 1 year where we've collected. It was around 400,300, if I recall, something like that, for the entire year across all funds. And so, this is something that can come or go. So it can also contribute to a surplus because I tend to be very conservative on my estimates on that. And then the transfers, the $10 million, the $10,870,000. The $10 million of that is a transfer to the Permanent Improvement Fund, which I'm sure Alejandro may talk about that a little bit more. But normally that would be the 800, or very consistent. Usually those are pretty small, but in 2025 we had some activity moving money with our capital project funds because we were pre-funding road projects and actually reimbursing them and things like that. So any questions about this slide? Okay. I just wanted to go through some of the revenues that y'all probably may not be as familiar with because we don't talk about them much, but these are some big revenues that we've received, and usually most of them, well, some like this first one, the auto registration. You saw that one in the slide, but that one's a huge, has a huge impact on the county. Part of the small piece of it goes into Road and Bridge Fund, but that goes into the general fund for the most part. And it can have a big impact. If I saw that during COVID when all of a sudden it kind of dropped a little and then just skyrocketed. Mixed beverage tax is probably something you never hear about. That's a quarterly payment. It's not a tax that we levy, but it's actually a tax that the state levies and collects it and distributes it to the county every quarter. And I have $4.1 million in the budget for it. Dispatch contracts. Now the sheriff's office has a lot of contracts, but this is their biggest one. And that's 1.1 million. That's a pretty significant amount. I already talked about the tax collector contracts, which is 1.4 million. Bail bond forfeitures, 1.7 million. And some of these funds are actually, even though they're revenues, they may have associated expenses with them that they're actually covering. And that's that's what most of these are, except for the mixed beverage tax. But the supplemental vehicle registration, that's also motor vehicle. It kind of goes a different direction, but it is something that we really rely on. I also want to mention hotel occupancy tax this year we're projecting we're going to collect about $4 million. Last year was $3 million, and that's just sitting in a fund and building up. And then I mentioned earlier the records, record fees, and I was talking about the archive and the preservation fee, which are in separate funds. And you see those are significant collections, and that comes from mostly the county clerk, but one of those goes in comes from the district clerk too. So anyway, I think that's it. Y'all have any questions? Okay, well, thank you very much.
Jeff, can I ask you a question?
You bet.
Would it be helpful if we really informed the public and encouraged them, even though they may buy a car at Sewell in Dallas, for example, they can ask for it to be registered in Denton County, and that way we get the fees from that. I don't think people understand that just because you buy a car out of county doesn't mean it couldn't be registered here in Denton County.
I believe if they live in Denton County, it has to be registered in Denton County.
That is correct. So no matter where you buy it, it has to get registered within the county that you live in, and they will get the taxes.
Get them to do that.
I'm sorry, ma'am?
I had to fight with Sewell to get
Did you
them to
really?
do that.
Yeah.
Just-
But you shouldn't have to. That's legally what they're bound to do.
Okay. Well, let's encourage our people to be aware of that then. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Good job, Jeff. Thank you for I want to thank you for all that you do, and I can always trust your revenue projections, and as with any good practitioner, you're conservative in your revenue estimations, and so I appreciate that. And that has allowed us actually to be able to do some of the projects that we do with the CIP and take those funds and invest those into capital projects, and have funds readily available to do some of the good work that we've been up to. So anyway, thank you and your team, but thank you very much. Okay, Alejandro.
Okay, Judge and Commissioners.
Back to the spending.
Yes. So on this next slide, you'll see a fund level overview of the various funds we have included in the actual operating budget. So as you can see there from the bottom towards the right, the recommended budget is increasing by $42.3 million from the prior year. So the recommended budget for FY 2027 is at $494.5 million, or a 9.37% increase from the prior year. So there are a couple things I want to point out on this slide. There's a couple of funds that you're seeing are decreasing at 100% towards the bottom, one of them being the Sheriff's Forfeiture Fund, and the second one being the District Attorney Chapter 59 Fund. So when working with the auditor's office on this, we're essentially pulling out those funds from the operating budget, and they're going to be treated like we treat grant funds just because of the way that these funds operate. Now, Jeff is still going to work with those departments to ensure that they're still meeting all the requirements per statute, so they still have to present a budget to Commissioner's Court, but it just simplifies the budgeting process as well as the process for the auditor if we pull them out of the operating budget. You'll also notice that the debt service fund is decreasing by $3 million. That is due to the required principal and interest payments decreasing for next year, so that's why that's going down. And the permanent improvement fund is increasing by $15.6 million. For the permanent improvement fund, the tax levy is only increasing by $1 million. So we're utilizing the fund balance within the permanent improvement fund to fund capital projects. So that's how fund balance should be utilized, is to fund one-time capital expenses. And then on the next few slides, you'll see basically that $42 million increase broken down by area. So I just spoke about the $15.6 million increase in the Permanent Improvement Fund. A big portion of that is due to the construction of the Tabor Ranch Fire Station that is being budgeted at $14 million. Now that construction is funded out of the Permanent Improvement Fund, but at some point in the future, once the Fire Rescue Fund has enough revenue in it, it will pay back the Permanent Improvement Fund at that point in time. The Permanent Improvement Fund also has funding for the for the restoration of the courthouse on the square. So these are several projects that were reviewed as part of the Capital Improvement Program Committee that met earlier this year, and at some point in late this month, early September, we will bring the Capital Improvement Program up to Commissioners Court for approval. I also want to mention that the preventative maintenance category is increasing by approximately $2.9 million, but that is simply due to funding from the prior year for preventative maintenance being rolled over to FY 2027 so that those projects can be completed. And then you'll see that on the next section there that we are including a $10 million transfer from the general fund to the Permanent Improvement Fund. So that anytime you do a transfer from one fund to another, it will show up as an increase in the budget, but it is not actually impacting the tax rate at all. You're just moving funding from one fund to another. So really those two categories up top are resulting in an increase in the budget of $25 million, but they actually only have an impact on the tax rate of $1 million. So just to explain that. Public safety is increasing by $8.7 million, and that's always going to be a significant increase in the budget. Public safety does make up about half of the general fund expenditures, so it is a fairly significant portion of the budget. A big reason for that is because we are rebudgeting 30 detention officer 1 positions that the court approved to rebudget during FY 2026, so we're having a rebudget for them for FY 2027 as well. And then there's also several positions that are being included in the recommended budget across various public safety departments, which we'll also go into detail on. And then, of course, within public safety, you will see a lot of significant increase in maintenance and operation expenses for the replacement of things like body armor or tasers or weapons. And of course, those the cost of those items is not only is it going up, but anytime you add a new position, like a new patrol deputy, for example, then that's another position that has to have equipment like those examples I just mentioned. Judicial and legal is increasing by $4.7 million. That's also due to some positions that are being included across this category, but a significant portion of the increase is resulting from state-mandated indigent defense expenses. So indigent defense, of course, is one of the biggest unfunded mandates for counties, and a lot of that, too, is driven by population. So more people moving into the county, more people going through the court system. Technology services is increasing by $1.9 million. Some of this is due to the refresh of technology equipment. So, for example, whenever you replace laptops or computers, we budget for them in the technology services budget. So some of those increases aren't necessarily related to requests from technology services. But we did include funding for the upgrade of a lot of network equipment and a critical security equipment that's included as part of the our 5-year capital improvement program. So you'll see a detailed breakdown of that whenever we present the CIP to Commissioners Court. For juvenile probation, we're seeing an increase of $1.7 million due to 2 positions that are being added to the recommended budget, as well as increases for the care and rehabilitation of juveniles, such as for food, institutional care, and counseling. And you're also seeing the impact to salary and benefits across all of these categories as well, since that increase for salary and benefits is budgeted by department. So it's spread out through these categories for any department that has positions budgeted in them. For general administration, we're seeing a $1.7 million increase. Part of that is due to the cost of county vehicles. So not only the increase in the cost to replace vehicles, but also our fleet obviously grows every year since we do add additional positions that have vehicles with them. For elections administration, we're seeing an increase due to some software that we previously budgeted for in another one of the election administrators' funds that we're now moving to the general fund. But then also, elections administration is a department that fluctuates just depending on what's happening with election season. So we try to keep it as stable as possible, but sometimes you'll see an increase or a decrease just depending on what's happening with elections. For transportation and engineering, there's a significant increase related to the replacement of a milling machine that we included as part of our CIP, so that's really the majority of the increase in that department. For financial administration, that's increasing by $1 million. Part of that is due to the deferred impact of 3 county auditor positions that we included in FY 2026 with a deferred hire date. So for FY 2027, you're seeing the impact of those positions budgeted for the full 12 months. And then there's a category where we put together various very small funds and departments, but some of the increases here are due to the County Clerk's Records Management Fund, which includes 2 new softwares that the court approved in FY 2026, so we're just rebudgeting for them in 2027, as well as an increase for the Denton Central Appraisal District. As you know, funding for the appraisal district comes from not only the county, but also cities within Denton County and the DISD and Louisville ISD as well. And for public facilities, you're seeing an increase of $776,000. That's partly due to an increase in service contracts for things like landscaping services, as well as increase across their various maintenance operation category for things like supplies and equipment, as well as the impact of a new position. And for public health, really the only major increase was due to a new position that's being included in the recommended budget. Their maintenance and operation didn't really go up for 2027. And then you'll see the 2 decreases that I mentioned there as well for for debt service and for forfeiture funds. So all of these areas make up the $42.3 million increase in the recommended budget for next year.
Alejandro, if I could, kind of speaking to that.
Yes, Commissioner.
On the total of our budget, which we show that $42 million additional, which was 9.37%. But just from a more practical perspective, if we take out the budget transfers, which I think was about 24 million, you said?
Yeah, so there's a $10 million transfer from the general fund to the permanent improvement fund. And then in addition to that, there's about $14.5 million in the permanent improvement fund that's being funded through the utilization of fund balance.
Right. And so just kind of for those watching or listening, if you take that out, because that's not really additional spending, that's moving dollars around, you're talking about more 3.9% increase. Which
that percentage, yes,
right.
does go down quite a bit as some of these increases, you're right, do not impact the actual tax rate.
Right. I just kind of wanted to point that out. Yeah, we're not going up nearly 10%.
No, sir,
spending.
that's correct.
Yes. Thank you.
And so here is a slide I do every year that shows basically the breakdown of services that are considered mandated versus non-mandated. So unlike some other local entities like cities, there are a lot of services that the county does that are considered mandated that we have to provide, like the county jail. We have to have a county jail, for example. So that is, when you look at mandated and essential services, that's over 80% of the services that are being provided are either mandated, that we have no control over, or they're considered essential services that we need to be able to operate a county government. But you also see a section there for non-mandated services. These also include services that provide some sort of public good to Denton County residents, like the funding for the libraries, for example, where the Commissioner's Court approves funding to be provided to various city libraries, and in return, they make their services available to any Denton County resident that lives in any city within the county or unincorporated areas of Denton County as well. And then this is a different view of the budget. So we're looking at salary and benefits versus M&O versus capital. So you can see here that really about half approximately of the budget is made up of personnel expenses. with the other half being made up of maintenance and operation. But there is about 7% of it being made up of capital expenses, and that's defined as any equipment over the threshold of $5,000, but it's also some CIP-related projects, just depending on how they need to be budgeted. But we do have, there are, the CIP projects do far exceed this amount that's shown here, but a lot of those are funded through outside of the operating budget. So for example, like the road projects, they're funded out of bond funds, and bond funds are not included as part of the adopted budget or funded through tax notes. But that doesn't, this $35.6 million does include some funding from the Permanent Improvement Fund, and I do have a slide on that's showing you the exact projects within that fund. For contingency, you'll see that we're budgeting $6.3 million for FY 2027, and you can see the breakdown here. That is approximately a $1.2 million decrease from the prior year, just primarily because we're seeing a decrease in the amount of overtime that's being spent at the county jail, and that was what a lot of our contingency was being utilized for in previous years. Okay, and then here's the breakdown for the Permanent Improvement Fund. So you can see that the fund has a $50 million budget for FY 2027. So this includes the projects that were reviewed as part of the CIP process. So the Tabor Ranch Fire Station there, you can see is the largest portion at the top left at $14 million. And then on the bottom right, you'll see that every year we budget funding specifically for road projects. So even though the Permanent Improvement Fund has a $7 million budget for road projects, every year we put money away specifically for roads and open space. And so for roads in fund balance, we have an additional $35 million that's specifically put aside for road projects, in addition to this $7 million that's available here. And then also want to point out a couple of different categories. So on the top right, you'll see there's repairs and maintenance being budgeted at $2.5 million and a remodeling being budgeted at $1 million. Those are, that's funding that facilities uses throughout the year. And preventative maintenance is at the bottom left. That's also funding. So these are three different categories that basically facilities uses every single year for different purposes. Repairs and maintenance and remodeling, we basically treat it where whatever we budget, once it's gone for the year, it's gone. But for preventative maintenance, we'll roll over that funding from year to year as facilities has a 5-year plan on preventative maintenance projects. But as I said, a lot of these projects on here are included as part of the our capital improvement program. So we'll be bringing that to court with the backup information and an explanation as to what all these projects are. And then here's a breakdown of the funding being provided to the participating library. So this funding comes from unclaimed capital credits from cooperative contracts, and that funding goes into our Chapter 381 fund, which I think has right now approximately $6 million in it in fund balance. So there's enough funding to cover these expenses for quite a while. So this funding does not impact the tax rate in any way, and basically these are 11 out of the 17 city libraries within Denton County who have agreed to participate in the program, and so anybody from Justin can go to a library and ponder and check out a book and create an account. And as I mentioned, similarly, people in unincorporated area of Denton County can also go to any of these cities who participate in the program and create an account and use their services. And as part of the budget process, we did receive a total of 50 position requests. And out of those 50, 16 positions are included in the recommended budget. So you can see the financial impact to the side of that. Positions are one of the most expensive things that the county has to fund every single year. 16 position recommendations is approximately half of the number of positions that we included in last year's budget. And in addition to that, I also wanted to point out a couple things on this slide. The recommended budget also includes the transfer of an administrative specialist 2 position from the fire marshal's office over to the fire and rescue department. And we also included funding in contingency for the director of administration over the drug court program in case that the grants that they receive does not cover that position. And if that's the case, they'll come to court and ask for approval to fund that position out of grant contingency. Here's a breakdown of those 16 positions that are being included in the budget. So for Constable Precinct 1, there's a deputy constable that's being included. Every year we do a constable report where we look at the workload measures across all the constable offices. So this recommendation is based off of that workload. For facilities, we included a network and infrastructure engineer position into the recommended budget. And for the you'll see 3 JP offices where we included a deputy clerk for each of these offices, which we also do a JP workload statistical report every single year, and we look at the workload measures. And as a reminder, all 6 JP offices did request a position for FY 2027. For the fire marshal, we did include a fire inspector position in the budget, though that after speaking with the fire marshal, we also prorated that start date to April 1st to ensure that the fund receives enough revenue to cover the cost of that position. For the fire and rescue department, we included 1 fire chief, but as a reminder, that department will have a total of 3 positions because there is currently an assistant fire chief within that department, as well as the the administrative positions that we're transferring over to that department. So we'll have a total of 3 positions.
So why are you transferring that position? Don't they still need it in the
So our recommendation is based off of the original approval of that position. So my opinion on that is that the position was mostly originally approved to work on the fire and rescue duties. And I think that if there's workload that justifies that position, it probably should be handled through the budget process. So they should request a position specifically to work for the fire marshal's office. So that's really the basis of our recommendation, is just that it was originally created to mostly work for fire and rescue. But I mean, if we follow the budget process, we would still look at the workload there. So as of right now, my recommendation is not based on the fact that there's no workload there that justifies it. It's just that the position was originally approved for fire and rescue.
Okay.
And that is an appeal issue, and
Yeah.
we'll talk about that this afternoon. Go ahead, Commissioner Edmondson.
Well, I was going to ask a question because it seems to me that I've complimented our court on strategically looking ahead. And I know in that particular department, they've got a very capable employee who's going to be retiring in a little over a year. And the position that you're moving is the person that could be trained and training to take that other position. So it's like, let's think ahead. And I don't see any reason to make that change.
Well, I think you have 2 things, and I'm not disagreeing with that as well, but you also have a young lady that was intimately involved with the fire rescue plan as well. And that individual will have a lot of information that they can bring to the table for the new fire chief that's coming into, that we end up hiring. And I would say that we could work with Brad to make sure that we figure out how that person is able to help out with getting past a lot of the issues that we would have to start over with a brand new person. Does that make sense?
Good point.
Just because that person has a lot of experience, put together a lot of the presentations that helped them put those together. So it's kind of we're in a catch-22 position.
But I don't believe you take an employee from the fire marshal's office to go for the fire and rescue. Now, you may want to move that employee, but we need to.
Well, originally, that's what it was hired for,
But
is
since-
under the fire.
But they still
fire.
participated majority of the
No,
time in the fire marshal office.
Yeah, and I can't
So-
speak to that. I can just say that that's how it was budgeted originally, and it doesn't mean we can't make adjustments.
Yeah.
Just like what, let's just talk about the fire marshals, just like with this individual that he's got here to hire. I feel confident, and we've had many discussions with, that since he needs another person to go do inspections, fire inspections, because we haven't really done all the ones that we're supposed to be able to do legislatively, because we don't have enough individuals, enough personnel. This person will actually do enough to financially pay for themselves by doing these inspections. So that to me is like a
So
no-brainer.
we need to really look at that appeal
Yeah.
and evaluate that. And thank you. I see where you're coming from about the budget, but we need to look at that appeal.
Yes, ma'am, I agree.
Some things change.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, proceed.
Okay, for public health, the recommended budget does include a division manager over epidemiology. And for juvenile probation, the budget includes a ISP officer as well as a training and transport officer. For the criminal district attorney's office, the recommended budget includes 3 prosecutor positions And for the sheriff's office, the recommended budget includes two patrol deputies as well as one investigator that will be working on the human trafficking division as well as the crimes against children. So here on this next slide, what you're seeing is basically the number of employees per capita. So this is the number of employees that Denton County has per 1,000 residents. So you can see there how the per capita rate has decreased over the past, going back to the 2018 budget. So that's about a 13% decrease in the per capita rate. And so we're now at 1.82 employees for every 1,000 residents. And on this next slide, you'll see that same per capita rate in orange being compared against the other top 14 counties in the state by population. So you can see here that we have the second lowest number of employees per capita. 2 years ago, we had the third lowest number of employees per capita. So that just shows we're getting more conservative in our budget and how we're looking at adding staff.
I think there's two ways to look at that. Obviously, somebody would look at it and say, well, you don't staff enough to take care of the amount of people based on some of the others. But I look at it from the standpoint of we're very lean and we operate very efficiently. And obviously, we ask our people to be as efficient as possible. And so I think there's a applause that's given to all of our directors and other elected officials that do a great job in managing with less. We get more out of less, if that makes sense.
Yes, okay, so here you're looking at a 10-year history of the adjusted taxable value. So between 2025 and 2026, that's an 8.4% increase in the adjusted taxable value, or a 124% increase when going back to 2017. So this does not include new construction. New construction is, you can see it on this next slide here. So here, this is really kind of what it helps us to keep the tax rate down, is the new construction value. So you can see 2 years ago, new construction decreased by really almost $2 billion. So this current year, we are seeing an increase of about $500 million. So because this isn't included in the tax rate calculation, that's how it kind of helps us to keep the tax rate down. And then on this slide, you're seeing a 10-year history of the average home value. So you can see that the average home value is actually slightly decreasing this year. So the average home value has continuously only increased. I went back to at least the past 15 years, but it's possible it's it's increased even further back than that. But you are seeing a slight decrease here for based on DCAT's information for the 2026 tax year. And then here you're seeing a comparison of the FY 2026 adopted tax rates versus the FY 2027 recommended tax rates. So we broke it down. As you know, the total rate is made up of two components, those being the maintenance and operation rate and the debt rate. So you can see there at the total rate level, the tax rate for FY 2026 was 0.185938. And you can see there that the recommended tax rate for 2027 is 0.183394. And then at the bottom, you'll see the voter approval rates and the no new revenue rate. So that voter approval rate is the max rate that you can go up to without triggering an election. So that's called the voter approval rate, which is at 0.19. So our recommended tax rate is at 0.18. And then, of course, you have the no new revenue rates and then some percentages there that tell you how much that recommended rate is below the current 2026 adopted rate, as well as how much it is above the no new revenue rate. And then here's an illustration for comparison purposes of what a resident who lives in the city of Denton would pay to three separate taxing entities, Denton County, the school district here in Denton, as well as the city of Denton. So if they had the average home value that I just mentioned of $507,914, they would be paying a total of $10,010 in taxes, but only 9% of those taxes would be going to Denton County. With the 91% of taxes going to the other two entities, and the difference there is because of the tax rates. That's the only difference. And as you know, every year we do a survey with the top 15 counties in the state by population. So we collect information such as population estimates and various tax rate related information. And I have the same information graphed, so you can see it here. So this is just looking at tax rates. So when looking at tax rates, we have the second lowest tax rate when looking at the top 15 counties in the state by population, with only Collin County having a lower tax rate than us. And this is looking at their information for FY 2026 because they're still in the middle of their budget process, so we don't know where they're going to end up at the end of the year. So this is looking at the county-wide assessed tax rate. So this is all tax rates that are assessed county-wide. So in Denton County, the county tax rate is the only rate that's assessed county-wide. So when you combine all of those, what this is essentially telling you is that somebody living in Denton County would be paying less in county-wide assessed taxes. And then this is another comparison, but here we're looking at the budget per capita for the top 15 counties. So similarly, 2 years ago, we had the second lowest budget per capita. Now we're looking at having the lowest budget per capita at $446 when looking across all of these other counties. So similar to what Commissioner Faulkner was mentioning earlier, is you're not only looking at having being conservative with how you're spending your tax revenue, but the budget is made up of various other funding sources as well. So this is essentially showing you that we continue to be conservative with all those revenue sources that Jeff mentioned earlier in the presentation as well. Okay. So here is, this is basically a snapshot of debt obligation for these counties as of September 30th of 2025. And this is only looking at the principal, no required interest payments. So you can see there that the orange line represents the average. So we're currently below that average, but this is only meant to, this really doesn't give you the full context behind the numbers, since for example, as a county continues to grow, typically you need to issue more debt because you're having to build more roads for more residents, or you're having to expand your facilities because the number of employees that you have continues to increase. So it's really only just a look at what debt obligation looks like at one point in time. So our recommended tax rate, with lowering it, of course, it is once again the lowest tax rate that we've had since still going back to 1986. And then here you will have that graph information going back to 1986. The blue portion represents the maintenance and operation rate, and the orange portion represents the debt rate. So as I mentioned earlier, we've lowered the tax rate just looking at back the past 5 years by approximately 5 cents. And when looking at the taxable value across those years, that does translate to basically millions of dollars that has been given back to the taxpayers. So that concludes my presentation, and budget workshops is scheduled for this afternoon as well as tomorrow. And then one of the last few items that the court will have to do is vote to propose a tax rate and then set the public hearing dates for the adoption of the budget and the tax rate, which are going to take place in September.
That was a bit. Well, Alejandro, thank you for providing a clear and I would call very transparent budget outlining the revenues and the expenses and the requests. And I think it's also important how we compare with other metropolitan areas here in DFW and also across the state. So members, if y'all don't have any other questions, we will take a recess and reconvene our budget conversations after the lunch hour. Is that good with everybody?
Thank you and your staff.
Okay.
Wonderful job.
All right, good. Thank you all. Okay, we are going to be in recess till about 1:15. Okay, thank you.